Welcome. Hi, my name is Mrs. Denise Parker, and welcome to Elevate Your Game. I'm here to actually share with you the wonderful opportunities that we have with our colleges, our careers, and beyond. With Elevate Your Game, what we focus on is making sure that young people, middle-aged people, and even the more mature have opportunities that also elevate their life. And it's a wonderful opportunity. Today, we're going to be talking about, the power of making an impact on Black mental health, and specifically with an organization such as the Association of Black Psychologists, who are doing the work on college campuses and actually helping people to understand the importance of being impactful in their communities. Before we get started, I want to invite my special assistant, Ms. Faith Denby from FAMU. Faith, you ready?
Yes, ma'am. Hello, everyone. Hi. I hope you guys have been having a wonderful week, and I hope you guys have a great end to the week. I know I have been today was turnaround to my week, so I've been having a great week.
Yes.
Therefore, I will have a great weekend.
You said you had some thunderstorms, so,
Yeah, it is raining and thundering today. I don't know when the sky decided to open up, but it did it today of all days. So.
Yes, and that's what you get living in Florida right now, going to FAMU. But it's okay. Yeah. You're getting that education. So I'm super excited for this conversation that we're going to have later today on the show. So let's start off with announcements.
Alrighty, let's get into it. Let's get into our announcements. Okay, so doing a cool little student spotlight today on Dennis Barnes, a New Orleans senior who shatters the U.S. record with 125 college offers and $9 million in scholarships. So in the past couple of weeks, we had learned that 16-year-old Barnes, so yes, he is a senior at 16 years old, is a student at International High School of New Orleans. He applied to 200 schools across the country. The number of offers Barnes received breaks the Guinness Book of World Records, and he is hopeful that more offers will come in and he will rise to 10 million before he makes his announcement on his college decision. And while I was reading up on this, his college decision day is coming up very soon, May 2nd. And at the same time, he has been participating in dual enrollment over at Southern A&M University. So when he does get accepted into college, well, not get accepted, but when he does figure out which school he's going to and whatnot, he will already be in as a junior.
So that's pretty he's already trying to focus on just the future in general. I mean, he said he wants to get up to 10 million before he makes his final decision. That's super exciting for him. We want to highlight high school students, especially high school students that look like us, who are doing it and trying, to beat the odds and not become a statistic. This young man has a bright future. And I looked up into their school, the International School at High School in New Orleans. They have a lot of graduates that are doing very well in that school also. So big ups to that school, who's doing a wonderful job in educating their young people. So thank you. Career opportunities. We want to make sure you guys get highlighted in some career opportunities. We are hiring NCRF. We're hiring as peer advisors for the San Diego region, working with students under the age of 18. And you have to have strong skills in mentoring, English, math, tutoring are all, even the sciences are really great to have as far as helping our young people who are going to high school to actually graduate. If you live in the San Diego territory, this is a great opportunity for you. Their college students and recent grads can apply, but you must pass a criminal background check. They are working in the schools that are the court schools who work with kids who have, did some wrong things in their life. And this is their last line before they graduate, or they may go to other places. So we want to make sure that they graduate, and we want people to inspire them. So our peer advisors at the movement are amazing. They're very inspirational. We have 100% graduation rate. I want to say actually over 90% graduation rate. Let me get it accurate from all our students. And I'm really excited about this program. T-Mobile is our new partner spotlight. They have various roles and locations all throughout the country. High school diploma, GED graduates can apply. If you love working with people, salary plus commission after 90 days of working. If you're in sales, you get great benefits for all the roles, but your salary, you get salary plus commission 90 days after working. That's really, really great because most companies don't really do that. So this is a telecommunications company. They, cell phones, they have other different opportunities there. It's not just sales. They have tech roles. They have business to business. You'll learn all different aspects. They'll train you. There's growth in the company. You can scan that QR code. You can also email me that you applied with your resume so that I can alert the recruiter. We also have this wonderful opportunity for those who are 16 years or older, an opportunity to learn cybersecurity, digital marketing, IT specialist, help desk, multimedia production, software engineering. The list goes on. If you're interested, 16 years and older, those who graduate with this program have an opportunity to make up to six figures. If you qualify and meet the income requirements, you get tuition and it's covered. So please scan that QR code. On My Own is hiring. There are positions in Los Angeles County supported by independent living skills worker. Some of the roles that you'll be doing is providing duties include assisting clients with communication, budgeting, safety, home maintenance, health, medical appointments, nutrition, physical fitness, and community safety awareness. You definitely have to work well with people who have some kind of disability or intellectual disability. So they will provide training to help support those individuals. But please, if you're interested in applying, scan that QR code. High school grads, college grads, welcome to apply. If you're multilingual, that is a plus. There's many people who don't speak English. They're your first generation American or just coming over here and they don't have any opportunities and they have needs and they're living with disabilities. So please apply. If you're a high school student and you're interested in jumpstarting your healthcare career, you're interested in becoming a nurse or any type of medical practitioner, you can receive career coaching and learn healthcare basics with mock clinical procedures, CPR, and first aid training in Atlanta only for this particular opportunity. And the address is there. The QR code will give you more in detailed information. It is a wonderful boot camp program. Think like an NP boot camp. NP stands for nurse practitioner. It's a wonderful opportunity. Dr. Patrice Little is a awesome nurse practitioner who's advocating for more people of color specifically to go into the roles of nursing and going all the way to get their doctorates. So you can email her at drpatrice@npstudentmagazine.com. You can also scan that QR code to find out more information. And it's coming up very soon, June and July. And then for our LinkedIn Weekly Spotlight internship, FIGS. FIGS is a healthcare apparel company. It's a really interesting story. They started their thinking that scrubs are just so much fun. They're so bland. They're not fun. You just wear them just to kind of go and do your, work at a hospital and stuff. They, sometimes they're kind of, don't fit properly. FIGS is a company that designed their healthcare apparel to fit really comfortably on their the healthcare workers, and they have these wonderful pockets and stuff. But the interesting thing about the company is they literally started in the backseat of their car. They, a nurse, a friend, two friends got together, one nurse and just a businesswoman. She just said, "Hey, I have this great idea to put these great fitting healthcare apparel together," and she said, "Let's do it." They started selling them in the back of the trunk for like $20 a pop. Now they're worth about $80 a pop or even higher. So they're having this great internship. You can see the opportunities there. It's a hybrid opportunity. It's in person and online. So Santa Monica, California. If you're majoring in human resources and business administration, this is an opportunity for you. The commitment is up to 12 weeks, working 20 hours per week. You have to be able to multitask in a fast-paced environment. Definitely research the company, like I was giving a little history about it. They're a multi-billion-dollar company. They They are doing very well because of how their work ethics are. They're very community oriented. So definitely research. If you're proficient in the following Mac OS, Microsoft Office, and Google Suite, this is an excellent opportunity for you to apply. And please follow us on National College Resources Foundation. This is NCRF TV, which is our YouTube channel, also LinkedIn, Facebook, of course, our YouTube channel, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also follow us and subscribe to any of our information at www.thecollegeexpo.org. These are our wonderful programs that we've featured here. We have internships and careers. We have our student athlete program. We have our STEAM program that actually focuses on helping kids understand about science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And then we have our movement and enrichment program, which is our elementary through high school program. Awesome. Now let's get started with the show.
Alrighty, let's get into it. So
Yay.
today for our show, we are going to be talking about the Association of Black Psychologists, or as some people may know, ABPsi. And we're going to focus mainly on the student circle and the national student circle, as well as some campuses. Okay, so ABPsi was founded in 1968 in response to much of the racial tension. So 1968, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated, and while the Association of the American Psychological Association, the American Psychological Association, or APA, was having their national convention, and a couple of Black psychologists were, hey, we notice X, Y, and Z is going on within the world of psychology, and we need you to fix it. You are the standard within the psychological world or within diagnoses, and so we need X, Y, and Z addressed for us as Black professionals, for our Black clients. We need these things. And so in response to a lot of the things that they were asking for and how APA responded to them, we now have ABPsi. And so with that, I am going to introduce my wonderful colleague, Mr. Aaron Buffet, and going to have him give a little bit of history that he knows about ABPsi, as well as, just his passion and his interest in how he got started with an ABPsi.
Welcome.
Hey, thanks for inviting me. I'm happy to be here and glad to be a part of this discussion.
This is a wonderful opportunity to share who you are and the importance of your educational background and why it's important for you to be here to talk about the student circle at the ABPsi.
Yes, I think it is very important, and I'm glad for that opportunity. I am Aaron Bethay, the Student Circle National Chair for ABPsi, and I'm excited to be in this role and to impact people through ABPsi. I am currently a counseling psychology PhD candidate at the University of Akron in Akron, Ohio. And right now I'm on internship at VCU, Virginia Commonwealth University in Richmond, Virginia. After I leave this internship, I'll be heading to University of Southern California, where I'll have a postdoctoral fellowship in sports psychology in the athletic department at USC. As far as ABPsi, I'm really excited about the work I've had the opportunity to do when it comes to doing presentations, connecting with the community, and helping build awareness of the contributions of Black psychologists. So many Black psychologists have developed theories, developed ways of understanding Black people, been activists, been boots on the ground to help the Black community. And I'm excited to walk in their footsteps and be a part of that mission.
Excellent. Well, it's nice to meet you, and thank you for joining us. Why is it important for people to know more about ABPsi and their role? Why did you decide to join the organization, so to speak, to give more context?
For a number of reasons. One, I think it's important for us to be supported as Black people, and ABPsi provides that kind of community, that kind of support. So I joined ABPsi back in 2014 when I was in my master's program, and I was interested in pursuing a PhD and was interested in studying under the leadership of psychologists who were interested in the Black experience and interested in ways to help Black people.
Mhm.
I found out about ABPsi on the internet. Looked up Black psychologists because I was interested in such, and saw ABPsi, and I noticed that they had a convention in Indianapolis, Indiana that year. So at the time I lived in Philadelphia, flew to Indianapolis, Indiana, went to the convention, introduced myself to people at the convention. Really didn't know anybody there at the time, but was really excited to get to know Black psychologists. And that experience changed my life because I met people who mentor me and who continue to mentor me through that convention.
Wow.
Another reason why I think it's really important for people to know about ABPsi is because most schools don't teach theories developed by Black psychologists. So students aren't learning about these theories from people like Dr. Naeem Akbar, Dr. Linda James Myers, and a number of other Black psychologists. So if they're not learning it from ABPsi and they're not learning it in their classes, how are they going to learn about these Black theorists, these Black psychologists who have made amazing contributions?
I think that is a lot in a nutshell as far as saying the impact that's our pretty much our conversation today is how ABPsi has have made a positive impact on Black mental health and mentioning the practitioners who are doing the work and getting recognized by their colleagues and being um, and by future colleagues, young people like Faith who are in school and like yourself who are in school and networking. That's very important. One more question before we go back to our presentation is is the roles that you see out there regarding mental health, are there fewer roles that are represented by Black psychologists, or are you, because you're in this space now, you see more and more people because you're networking, or is the demographic still, the ratio is still very low with Black psychologists and clinical practitioners?
That's a really good question. Black psychologists, Black people are really underrepresented in the field of psychology. So if we think about what percentage of the population we don't match that percentage of psychologists. And so when we think about the need for mental health treatment within the Black community, there are nowhere near enough Black psychologists to address that need. And so there is certainly a need for a large increase in numbers when it comes to Black clinicians in this field.
Oh, wonderful. This is amazing. So let's get back to our presentation. Go ahead, Faith.
Okay. So about the Student Circle Board, the Student Circle is a part of the Association of Black Psychologists, and we essentially create initiatives that support psychology students more so than professionals. And some college campuses have their own chapter meant to help connect students to resources and scholarships. So while our professionals are important and we love them dearly, so are our students. And so the Student Circle Board focuses on our students specifically, making sure that they are getting taken care of in undergrad, master's, PhD, and all the way on to their professional world. As long as,
Faith, Faith, what role do you have at the Student Circle Board?
Yes, I am the communications chair. It is my first year, and this year's been kind of busy for me outside of APSI, and then everyone else. So while trying to connect with a lot of people, I didn't get to do as much as I planned as communications chair. But I do have a lot more things better planned out for next year now that I've spent more time making connections. So definitely would say it helped, and you will be hearing a lot more from me as communications chair coming up because I have a lot of great things planned.
Well, you're
And they're
trying to
both right
balance
now.
it all.
So.
You're in
Yeah,
school. You're an undergrad. You're in
I
school. You're trying to
am.
balance it all, and
Yes.
you assume this huge role. It's more than you can choose sometimes. But can you give her some advice about her role, Aaron?
Yes, we are really happy to have Faith on board with us. Faith is currently the only undergrad that we have on the Student Circle National Board.
Oh, okay.
And that is really a unique contribution that she's able to make because she gives us perspectives that we often don't have. As far as balancing the role, that is something that all of us on the board struggle with. But I think one piece of advice is to lean into that support system. All of us are going through the balance of a student and many other roles that we have in life at the same time. But all of us also have this passion for the community. And so, in a sense, one of the communities is us as the Student Circle Board. And so we provide that support and encouragement for each other as we persevere through these different hurdles and as we take on new challenges.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So lean into the support and also build connections with other students and with professionals in the organization. From my experience, all the professionals have been really down to earth. So even if it's somebody that I may have read about and didn't know in person, when I bump into them, they are just like a regular person and they're really happy to embrace us.
And that can be intimidating too for a young person, you know, as young as Faith and her colleagues who are at school. They listen to the professors and they're so knowledgeable about all these things, and then they meet people like yourself who's been in various different roles within the organization of ABPsi, and then all of a sudden, they want to jump in, but it's like, how can I do that? Will they choose me? How would that, what, Faith, how was it for you when you first applied for the program and to actually join us being in a leadership role?
Okay, so I actually was encouraged by one of my professors. We've had her on before, Dr. Brittany Griffin. Love her, very down to earth. And she definitely is part of the reason I am so solid in what I want to do within psychology. But so I was telling her, because I need to figure out a letter write. And so I was telling her a little bit about myself, a little bit about what I do with NCRF. And she was like, "Hey, are you a member of ABPsi yet?" And I was like, no, ma'am. The dues didn't have it yet. And so she was like, "Okay, well, the Student Circle Board needs a communications chair, and I think you'd be great for it." And I was like, "Cool. Sounds like a major role going on here." And she was like, "Yeah, it is. You should do it." And so we sat down, we talked about, she really laid it out for me of what I would need to do. And I was like, "Okay, let's do it." And so she nominated me and I won.
Oh, so
And
you had to be voted into your role.
yes,
Wow. So your
yes,
colleagues, your fellow psychology student colleagues had to actually,
mm-hmm.
you know,
Yes, it did.
were you in competition with any of your fellow FAMU or across the?
I actually don't know who else was running. I was too
Oh,
nervous to walk to look. Um, I was so nervous. I refused to even think about it. I didn't even tell my mom until weeks after I got it.
oh.
I was so nervous. I was like, maybe it's not too late to drop out. Maybe this is too much. And quite honestly, the role in itself hasn't been hard. It's very easy for me to pop up ideas of, oh, we should do this and we should do this, and oh, if we did this and this and this, and that's the easy part. The hard part is execution,
Oh,
and
yes.
not just in planning out how to execute it, but in actually connecting with people, and trying to get people to answer their emails and phone calls. And now I got to find you in your office and I got to hunt you down so you can answer my questions. And um, so that's kind of more of a little bit of a harder part. But actually, I forget his actual role, but he's over the region of I think it's the eastern region or the southeastern region. He's the chair of my department at school. So I've been up in his office often and been like, hey, how's this idea? What about
Oh,
this
that's
idea? Who can I
amazing.
talk to for this?
Right.
So he's been kind of helping me figure stuff out. So I'm actually really excited going into our next year of being on the chair so that I can actually push
So
things
this
out like I've wanted to.
this is amazing, Faith, and just hearing it from your perspective and you just going through that process, and then you're connecting to your chair of your department. A lot of people don't get to connect with their chair of the department while they're an undergrad. Some people just meet them here and there, but they don't connect with them. That's a big difference. What do you say to that, Aaron? How, I mean, that's amazing.
I admire what Faith is doing. I wasn't anywhere near that when I was an undergrad. I wasn't
Mhm.
a part of ABPsi. So I admire the work that you're doing, and I also hope you realize that you are a role model for your peers, other undergrads, as they see what you're doing. You are blazing a trail and paving a path for them to do what you're doing as well. So I encourage you to continue connecting with professors in your program, continue connecting with members of ABPsi, and continue living your passion.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, what kind
Thank
of
you.
programs do you guys have that, you know,
Ooh, you are getting ahead of us. What's whoa? Okay. So back on track with our program. So we have the certification in African and Black psychology. Um, and so this program is kind of just what it says. You get some certification in learning about what Black psychology is, learning about the difference of psychology for Black people versus Western psychology. Um, and you
mm,
kind of learn how to navigate that as a professional, not just as a Black person, because they're two different perspectives. So there's
right?
that.
Wait,
Do
wait,
you
wait.
want to go
Before
into?
you go on, how,
Okay.
why is that important for us to, or for
Ooh,
your group to
practicing.
actually go ahead? I'm sorry. For
Okay.
your group to
So,
actually identify what that is in African psychology versus Black psychology.
ooh, I love this one because my Black psychology classes are my favorite. I absolutely adore those. Um, but so knowing the difference between Black psychology and Western psychology is so important. It's basically knowing your history because Black people have such a rich and deep history that has affected our psychological being. And so we originated in Africa on the continent with a whole natural, innate way of being. And then through trauma and enslavement, we no longer work within that circle. We no longer work within that paradigm. And so Black psychology is learning how that has affected us to this day, how the trauma that we see and experience day in and day out, post enslavement, even affects our psychology. And how there is very little that Western psychology can give us that's going to be the same because we're always going to have that bit of us to work through. There's always going to be certain standards and certain stigmas that come with being Black that are added on to whatever Western psychology is telling us about. And that can shift how things show up for Black people. That can shift what depression looks like. That can shift what bipolar looks like, what schizophrenia looks like, because there are certain things and certain ways that we show up within the world.
Well,
And
that's
that comes from our
amazing.
history, that comes from our natural, innate African paradigm of being that Western psychology never will be able to fully grasp and understand.
And the reason why that's amazing, just hearing it from your perspective, is because you're passionate and because it opened up your mind. When you were in high school, did you learn all? No. When you got to college and you start to get into this organization, it opened you up. One of the things that I was just having a conversation with my husband not too long ago is like, I wish I can just walk up to a random Black person and start speaking a native African tongue. We're the only group of people in the whole diaspora that does not have the African diaspora, because there's Africans and then African Americans that don't have a true connection to a linguistic language outside of English because it was taken from us. And that right there, I can walk down the street and hear Spanish speaking people talk amongst themselves, Asian people talking amongst themselves, Mediterranean people talking amongst themselves, but we only identify with our colloquialisms that we came up with our slang, quote unquote, ebonics. That's offensive. But you know what I'm saying? Just these things that don't have anything to do with our true identity to our African heritage. What do you say about that, Aaron, regarding this certification and then what Faith was mentioning?
I think it's great. I really like the way Faith explained it. I really appreciate that explanation. I think this is also really important because as I talked about, Black psychologists aren't taught in schools. So, in order to get this certification in African Black psychology, you learn some of the theories that were developed by Black psychologists. These were developed by Black people for Black people. So, as Faith mentioned, many of the needs are different in Black people, and many of the mental health concerns show up in a different manner. So, in order for us to adequately address those needs, we need to address it through the lenses of professionals who have studied Black people and who understand the Black community. In order to get this certification, you will learn these Black theories and learn psychology from a Black perspective, which I think is very important when thinking about practitioners who want to treat the Black community.
Yeah, especially when it relates to men and women and all kinds of different aspects of who you are and identify as an African American. So, what other programs do you guys have?
Okay. Aaron, if you would like to talk about the healing circles, because I don't want to mispronounce it.
Oh,
But we
yes,
have two
please. I'm
healing
looking at
circles.
that.
Yes,
Um, we have we have a couple of healing circles. Um,
yes. So the
and
sour
so
oh
yeah, yeah, no, you got it.
the Sawabona healing circles are something that we started a couple years ago, and these are healing circles that really were developed in the midst of heightened awareness of the racial trauma that we're
Mm,
experiencing as Black people. And when I say heightened awareness, the racial trauma has been going on since we've been in this continent, but it seemed like during the time of the pandemic and other things going on, this racial trauma got more attention on a national
Right.
level as we saw some of the police brutality really being broadcasted across the internet and re-traumatizing and re-triggering many of our community members. Members of the Black Association of Black Psychology thought about ways that we can help our people heal, because racial trauma is a experience that is shared among us, but it's often not spoken about, and it's often not understood within the field of psychology outside of organizations like the Association of Black Psychologists, or outside of psychologists who are specifically trained in treating our people. And so these healing circles were spaces where people could come and talk about what they're experiencing, what came up, and lean on each other. So it built this sense of community. When we think about our heritage as Black people, we descended from Africa, and we descended from cultures that were collectivist as opposed to this individualistic culture in America. And so these collectivist values are still a part of us. And so we have these healing circles that help us tap into these collectivist values, this desire to be a community, this desire to express ourselves, to see each other, to hear each other, to empathize, to connect with each other. And so that is how the Sawabona healing circles have started. The emotional emancipation circles are circles that we have had at our convention for years now. And these are circles where people also have the opportunity to express their feelings, express trauma, express struggles. Many times we as Black people are in spaces where we have to silence our voice, or where we can't speak about our true experiences,
Right.
or our true experiences aren't heard or aren't understood. And so we're creating these circles, which are a small sense of community where we can express these feelings and help each other heal.
That's amazing. When it comes to Sawabona, is that how,
Hmm.
okay, how you pronounce it? It's, I think it's Zulu. I was looking it
it
up.
is Zulu. I just looked it up. It is Zulu, and it means I see you or we see you. Which I think
Yes.
is very powerful, being that it is a healing circle where Black people get together, um, and literally just see each other, just be there for each other. Um, so I
Wow.
think that's very
That's, just talking about this in the layers of how your initiatives are, worked out through these processes. It's a process to go through healing. You don't wake up one day and say, I'm okay. It takes time for you to get there. And sometimes you need to be in a group or amongst others who may be feeling that kind of way to actually express it, because we could take it to the streets, or we can take it to Black Twitter, or we could take it to the social media, but we can't take it in a collective healing environment to actually work together to heal and have solutions to the problems that we're facing, as opposed to, just talking about the issues all the time and complaining about them and shouting at the enemy, so to speak. This is a place where you can talk amongst each other to actually, it sounds beautiful. It sounds just inviting love, inviting, peace, inviting joy back into your life. It's just the beginning steps of the process of healing. Healing is making yourself whole. And then the emancipation circles, what I'm hearing from it is that the freedom, being emancipated, it means you're completely not obligated anymore from any debt. You don't, your debts has been paid. You are not subject to. That's emancipation. It's like saying you no longer have someone owning or something's owning you. Um, and sometimes you can't get that on your own. It takes a collective to move those spaces. So emancipation circles, that speaks for itself. It took a collective for us to become emancipated as slaves, as our forefathers did. But it also takes us individually to unpack that emotionally and mentally, and then, systemically through the different eras. And I love this. This is beautiful. Go ahead, Faye.
So I'm gonna go next to our school districts export slash organizational consultation, where you can have professionals provide consultation in schools, curriculum, structures, as well as your organization. So that's workplace diversity, equity, and inclusion, trainings, um, and things of that nature. You can get an actual Black professional to
So they can come to the
give
school
their.
district. They can come to the school district and actually, if you work out a program, how does that work specifically?
So I can give you an
Um,
example of one that
yes, please.
we recently had going on with the Pittsburgh Public School District. Members of the Association of Black Psychology developed a relationship and I believe had a contract with the Pittsburgh Public School District to do culturally sensitive and trauma informed training for the entire school district administration staff. So for the superintendent on down, and they would do these trainings. I think there was a number, maybe like 8 trainings,
Mhm.
teaching from Black perspectives because things like trauma look different in Black kids. And so training the school district a different way of viewing these kids. So instead of saying this child is oppositional defiant or this child is a bad kid or just behaving inappropriately, let's look and see, is it trauma, and are these behaviors a reflection of trauma? So the training, the Black psychologists train the school district professionals on the trauma, but also on the historical context of us as Black people and what that means. And if we want these kids to understand their self worth, we have to teach them who they really are and
Yeah.
where they really came from. And so that's just one example of one of the school district relationships that we have.
How has that impacted, young people, just speaking from that example? Like, was some of the cases that seen that come out of it, and you're like, wow, night and day, night and day.
It is really night and day, and I think it has an amazing impact, especially on the sense of self worth. Because once a child starts to understand who they really are and what they really came from, their identity is different. Their sense of belonging, their sense of purpose, their sense of what they're able to achieve becomes different. In addition to the support, so when you think about a teacher or a school professional that's truly trauma informed, they have a different relationship with that child who has experienced trauma. And so they can build that relationship to where the child trusts the teacher and that can become a healing experience in its own. So now you have a child who was may have been labeled as a bad kid who now has a great relationship with the teacher and is able to talk to the professional when they're feeling triggered instead of behaving in a certain.
And it sounds like your organization steps in like as a mediator between the child or the student and the educator, so that they can actually figure out that language, where there can be understanding on each other's roles and respect, and also um, a person's history, a person's story. So that's what it sounds like to me. Is that correct? Something like that?
Yes, it's like a helps a paradigm shift, and I think more of training, like it teaches them to think different, to look at the
Okay.
child different.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay, Faith.
Alrighty, so next we're going to go into National Convention. And I actually am going to let Aaron take over this one because I've never been to a convention, so I can't really tell you too much on what goes on, but we do have
Yeah,
Aaron
so
here. So.
National Convention is our biggest event that we have, and National Convention is how I actually got introduced and fell in love with ABPsi. Our National Convention is annual. It's usually in the summer, and it is very different than most professional conventions. When you go to ABPsi National Convention, it feels like a large family reunion. You have hundreds of people here who are really passionate about the community, who are passionate about psychological well-being and uplifting of our community. When you come, the atmosphere is different. People are wearing African garb. There are drums, djembes being played, and so the energy is that of Black psychology, of our ancestors, of who we are, which is very different than Western psychology.
Yeah, I you know what? When you said the drums and the music, maybe some ritual, movements kind of inspire the environment and kind of set the tone and the mood so people can feel at home and ease. Um, we are people who loves to entertain and also provide family feeling. When you come into our homes, if you come from a big family, you feel like your family, even if you're just visiting, because go ahead and get something to eat, and make yourself at home, and they're playing music and somebody gets up and dances. It kind of has that kind of vibe in African American families. It also transcends in African culture. I'm a part of an organization that highlights Black people or people in prominent roles to actually get inducted into African families. It's a huge national event, but they host it mainly in Los Angeles, California, where they actually you get selected and you get invited to get adopted, quote unquote, and be go through a whole ceremonial ritual with the independent country's apparel as your ceremonial garb. And as you're going through the whole process, there's music. They invite a king and queen of a specific nation of Africa to actually represent. And you come to this ceremony of celebration. And when you stand up and get announced your name and your new, identity, the founder always says, "Who in here is African?" And he said, everybody who's African American should be standing up because you are African. It is the colonization of our country, of your people, that actually dissociated you and desensitized you to identify as African, as you're not just American, you are African. So that's a whole different conception in your mind, and it makes you feel more empowered. So yes, a national convention that celebrates like that is beautiful. Faith, what else?
All right, and then lastly, we have judgeship, which is mentorship, but we do not use the word mentor for a lot of negative connotations that come with that word. Um, but judgeship, and this allows you to really kind of connect with and be, you know, up under a professional and kind of learn how they did what they did to get to where they're at. Similar to kind of how we produce Elevate the Game, but on a more personal and one-on-one level. Um, and so you get to know these people as just people. Like, yes, they're professionals, and yes, you can have a professional relationship with them, but you also get to know them as just people. It's who they are, their stories, how they got to where they're at, their passions. Um, and, it's vice versa. So, and you can have more than one judgment. It's not just a one-on-one thing. You can have more than one for a multitude of reasons, whether it's professional, whether it's personal, whether, it kind of just, this person reminds me of someone that I no longer have, or someone that I'm no longer able to be in contact with. And, you know, whatever the reason may be, you can kind of just connect with them on that level. And it's something really beautiful.
So, how has those new terms changed your identity, Faith, and changed your assumptions now about how you see things related to, I guess, your career pathway, one, and two, how you relate to others?
Um, I wouldn't say the terms are what's kind of changed me,
Mm-hmm.
because everyone uses different words for a bunch of different stuff. So changing terms really wasn't what actually caused the shift. It was more participation in the programs,
Mm-hmm.
um, or just seeing the programs put into work. Like I said, I've never been to convention, but I've heard about how people speak about convention and how many relationships they've built at convention or going to the seminars and workshops and how that's helped them. Um, and so seeing and hearing these different stuff, like I said, Dr. Brittany Griffin, she's my Jegna. I love her so much. We're about to go to lunch soon once we figure out, timing and stuff. But just being able to actually participate and see the effects of the programs really helped me, put into perspective of how important it is of what I want to do and what the people around me want to do. And just encouraging more Black people to, one, pay attention to the things going on in the psychological world, but also their own personal mental health. Um, and really kind of pushing for more Black psychology majors and social work majors to really connect on this level. Um, because social work and psychology work hand in hand. Um, some people don't think so. I believe so. I believe that as a social worker, you have to have at least a knowledge of psychology. And with that, therefore, as a Black social worker, you need to have some level of Black psychology. Um, and so, yeah, it's kind of just in seeing it and interacting with it and knowing it kind of just has pushed it so that I push other people to also participate and learn and kind of just observe if you got to, but
I
get a
think
foot in it.
the key word that I'm picking up from you is participation. It's like one thing is to learn it, but actually to be involved, that's a whole nother ball of wax. And it actually gives you a better perspective because a lot of people don't understand what they say has meaning. And when you put it into practice, it actually changes your energy around it and also your perspective of how you use the word and how you go around doing your day-to-day life. So I love it. What would you say about the not mentorship, but the how do you pronounce it again? Aaron, how
Jegna.
do you pronounce it?
Jegna.
Jegna. What would you say about that program?
I will say Jegna changed my life. And that is because I have a great Jegna. And when we think about our culture, a big part of our culture is receiving wisdom from elders, that appreciation, that admiration for those who came before us. Through building those relationships, we're able to tap into that wisdom in a way that we wouldn't be able to without that relationship. And so many of the hurdles that we're trying to get over or struggles that we're experiencing have been experienced by those before us. If we think about the racism that we deal with today, the people who founded ABPsi were dealing with racism as well, and they combated it in a certain way and came together and started ABPsi. And so we can collect so much wisdom just from sitting next to them and having those conversations about how they persevere, but also about their paradigm shift that enabled them to break away from APA and say, you know what, no, we can think this way. We can identify ourselves. We can define who we are. And I think that wisdom helps us move forward. If we think about Sankofa,
Mhm.
when we think about looking back, as we think about moving forward and collecting that wisdom. I think Jagnaship is just another form or a piece of that for us.
You mentioned, Faith, that the word mentoring or mentorship. Why is that a negative um, phrase now in within
Um,
your organization, within your group?
because, it's because of how mentorship was taken, and how it originated. It didn't start with the purest of intentions, um, and there's a lot of trauma behind that. And so instead of following in that, and following within the Western origination of it, we decided that that's there's no need for it. If we are trying to break away from Western beliefs on Black people, that's something that you're going to have to do if we are trying to shift how we as Black people move, how we as Black people learn, how we as Black people think about ourselves and about our mentality. Then that's going to start with at least changing up some words so that way that what we're using is positive, so that there isn't negative connections and negative originations with all that we are trying to connect ourselves with.
I can definitely attest that some mentorships can end up being more like running orders, doing busy work and task. And, this is how you get mentored. You're going to learn from the bottom and grime your way up. But this doesn't sound like that. Jenga ship doesn't sound like. It's more like, let me help you. Let me see you be at your best, do your best. Let me not just impart wisdom, but let me show you how to apply this wisdom. Let me take care of all this that you're going through. Don't worry about that. I got it. You're going to learn as I help you, as you grow. That's what it sounds like to me. It sounds more like a big
Yes.
brother, big sister type of opportunity.
Definitely more a familial connection. And it's supposed to be positive. It's supposed to push you to be better. Sometimes, you may not feel positive in the moment because they're pushing you to do things you may not want to do or things you didn't think you ever would try to do. But it's to make you better. It's in a positive way. It's something that, hey, you don't want to do it, but at the end of the day, doing it is going to help you. Doing it is going to push you to be a better student, to push you to be a better professional. It's going to get you to learn a lot of things you never thought you would learn. Um, and doing so in a positive way that's not going to end in trauma, or that's not going to end in, well, that was one lesson I got to learn. Like, no, it's going to be, oh, now I see why they pushed me to do what I needed to do. Like, oh, this is actually really fun and I'm really enjoying it. Light bulb, there it goes. Now I got it.
That's a
And
healthy way of
so,
learning. That's a healthy way of learning.
yeah, it's supposed to be learning from the bottom, but learning from the bottom, and it's always going to get better, or it's always going to be, oh, this is fun. Like, lesson. What lesson? There's the lesson. Um,
Mhm.
so, it's supposed to be positive. It's supposed to be familial. It's supposed to be, you have that connection with that person. You enjoy being around that person. Like, you want to look forward to these meetings and the phone calls and the text messages and, hey, how you doing? It's supposed to be positive. It's supposed to be uplifting.
Well, I want to learn more. So, what kind of resources do you guys have?
Alrighty. Going into our resources. So if you check out the ABPsi website, you will see we have a Black mental health directory. So you can connect with professionals. This is part of how judgmentship happens, but also just if you need help, if you need any additional support, we have Black professionals who are available to help. They are there. We have a list of them. Please, 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 please use them. We also have our career center. So if you need help in terms of your career, if it's an internship, if it's just guidance in, I don't know what direction to go into, I don't know what I want to go into when I go to grad school, it's, we have a career center. I have this job I'm looking at, but I don't know how I should tweak my resume to fit it well. I don't know what I should do for my cover letter. The things you go to a career center for at a college, we have that available as well. And just like we have our school district and organizational consultation, we also have a section where you can learn about anti-Black racism. So just like they can train you on it, you can look and learn for yourself. And you can find resources that you can share with others as well. And there are there are a lot more resources actually on our website, but it is a lot. So we list the quick and important ones, as well as, you can go and check it out on your own.
I'll definitely put the website up before we get off today. So what can anybody join the organization, or
Yes,
do you have to be a psych
no,
major?
anybody can join. You do not have to be a psych major. You do not have to be a psych professional. If you are interested in the world of psychology and would like to have access to our secret APSI resources that we get, you can join. I believe our membership fee is $50 for undergrads. I don't know what the professional fee is. I'm scared for that one. But for students, it is $50 a year.
Okay. And Mr. Aaron, what would you say about these wonderful resources?
Yeah, I think our website is a really powerful resource in itself, and through that website, it has a number of different resources that people can tap into. I think that Faith talked about a few of them, and also we talked about a few of them earlier when we talked about the Salabone and healing circles and things of that nature. I think that the Black Mental Health Directory is really powerful because you're looking at people who are trained specifically to work with our people, which is very different than going to a clinician who was trained in a different way.
So when you get a part of this organization as a non-psychology major student or psychologist, and you just want to be a part of the community, join some programs, seek some help, um, is there's a membership cost, but there's also um, amenities because you joined with a membership. Are those programs for free, or is there additional cost for those programs?
It depends on what they are. So, for example, the convention, there's the registration fee,
Of
but
course.
the registration fee is less if you're a member.
Hmm.
Also, we have continuing education, so training seminars. Many times there is a cost, but the cost may be cheaper if you're a member. So, within many fields, if you're a psychologist, if you're a social worker or related fields, you may have to get a certain number of continuing education credits every year, every 2 years, and so on. So, we provide those from a Black perspective. And most of the time, there is a cost, but it's less for members in many cases. We have other trainings and things of that nature that there aren't any costs. A big part of the benefit of membership is the collective, the community that you're becoming a part of. And as Faith talked about the impact that it made on her, a big part of that impact is this community, getting to know each other, like minded people. That energy rubs off on each other, and we learn from each other in ways that aren't formal through those relationships.
What I like most about it is that if you're a young person, especially a person who wants to find new um, connections and just start a new transition in your life, you've had the same old friends doing the same old things. They're not going anywhere. You try to do something that's excellent, but what happens? They keep pulling you down and talking about you. But then you come to a group like this, and you probably find people motivating you and wanting to support you along the way, and you might find some new friends, a new partner, just a whole new life because you're being exposed to people who are actually doing the work that is a part of the healing. That's part of the emancipation, is a part of connected to their cultural identity, the psychological way, to make sure they don't lose sight of all that, all our richness as they press on in America or throughout the world. I think this is amazing. I mean, I never heard of ABPsi. Actually, I have. Have heard of ABPsi, but I never thought it was for me. I thought I had to be a psych major. I went to Cal State Long Beach, and I started off as a psych major, but I quickly changed when I saw how much schooling I had to go through, and I was like, I don't think I want to do that right now. But it was never introduced to me as like a group that's doing work amongst the community, so to speak. So this has been enlightening and a very enriching conversation about how you guys have made an impact on the Black community, specifically in the areas of mental health. What else would you guys want to share to close us out? Because this has been lovely.
I would say thank you for inviting me. Thanks for the opportunity to be a part of this conversation. I really appreciated it. And something we're working on is increasing awareness of ABPsi in the Black community. And so this was an opportunity for us to help with that, and we'll continue to look for other areas to help more people become aware of the work that we're doing, because our work is driven by passion, and we're really excited to build each other up because we are so educated on how we have been torn down.
Mhm.
So that passion continues to flow through us, and this connection, this community is a part of us. And so I'm happy to have this opportunity to have the discussion and to share more about what we're doing.
Excellent. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you for joining us. And I look forward to meeting you one day when you're over here in the West Coast at USC supporting the student athletes. I'm super excited for you on that journey because they do need it's a lot of work, a lot of strain on them. So, yes, this is amazing. Faith, what would you like to close us out with?
Um, just that APSI is a great resource, psych major or not. Whether you would want to be a member or not, we have a lot that you can use and learn from. So go for the website. It's free to look it up at least. So at least see if you're interested, give it a try. Um, and don't be scared to branch out and try and join student circle. See if your school has one. If not, find if there's one that's local, like a local chapter or something. Um, and get involved.
If somebody's interested in starting their own student circle, can they do that on their campus if it's not already one active?
Yes, they can. They would have to become members of the national organization, and then we as the student circle board can help them through the process. There is paperwork that they have to fill out, and we would walk them through that and help them fill out that paperwork and start that process.
So it's set up like a social club at a college campus, like a BSU or some type of cultural identifying club. So a psych club that is specific towards a specific culture. That's beautiful. Young people, if you guys are in school, or people who are going back to graduate school and you want to take a part of the resources, and if your voice is not represented on the campus, that is a playing field for you. Enjoy your college experience, whether you're undergrad or graduate. Enjoy those resources, those opportunities, develop those programs, develop those clubs so that you can actually make a difference within your own intimate community on your college campuses, but also make an impact in for the greater good at large. The Association of Black Psychologists is a wonderful organization to learn more about. Again, I'm gonna leave the website up, www.abpsi.org. There's wonderful tools, research, a newsletter, some publications, all kinds of stuff that's on there that's open to the public that you could just kind of browse around. It's very inviting, easy to follow. It's not too much technical psychological jargon on there. It's just easy to follow. It's very inviting. And one of the things that I really want to leave with you guys is that it's important to stay connected. In order to elevate your life, you need to know who's already doing the work, who's out in your communities, there to help you and support you. Again, my name is Mrs. Denise Parker, and this is Elevate Your Game. We presenting ABPsi's a positive impact on the Black mental health community. Thank you for joining us. Until next week.